All right. Oh, okay. Are we going to get started? All right. I guess we are going to get started. That was, well, that's good. Everybody unmute so we can hear you laugh if you want to laugh and have a good time with us. And also, I'm going to jump into starting everything. And Kevin, we've got to go through the check earlier too, with to make sure that we have the video check on with we share.
Got it.
And all.
Did you hit the button before you shared?
Yeah, I just
okay.
did,
So you're all set.
Just reminded me of the checklist. Anyway, everybody, there we are. A little bit of stuff. This is a free intro for the 101 class, which is the fundamentals of stand-up comedy. So first of all, I want to say to everybody that's here, congratulations, because you made it. What are our counts, Kevin?
We have 56 right now. 56
right
out of 246.
Almost 250 people. 200 of them did not have the nerve to even show up for a free class. Now I know it's the digital age, and people say, "Oh, it's something free." I don't feel obligated to. It's this obligation to me.
Oh, Greg,
it's to yourself.
You're stuck in traffic, honey. You know that. They're stuck
in that's right. Stuck in traffic. All right. So they'll be on their way. All 200 of them will show up in the next minute.
Well, let's hope none of them ask for a refund.
Yeah, that's like when I'm at a pub, I always buy everybody a round of water. So really, congratulations. You have no idea. Even in IRL, which is called in real life, these are Zoom or online classes now, but in real life, same thing. People won't show up. They're just too scared, or they signed up when they were drunk and had courage.
Yeah,
signed in from the pub, and anyway, there we go. A couple other things there, just real quickly. Tonight, we'll just go over a quick overview. We're going to teach you how to write joke tonight. If you participate, this is not a video game. We want you to unmute and talk and say things like the gentleman just said to me and stuff. But please join in this whole thing. So,
although Greg, you might want me to stop by the end of the seminar.
Yeah, I already want you to stop. So you're going to receive a $50 discount. It's good till Sunday. And again, at the end, I'll stick around with the whole staff, and we'll just do question and answer. This is going to be we're trying. The reason that I'm doing this, let me get out of share here.
I wonder if this is the first time, guys, because we did a free seminar for this time zone before.
No, we've done this before.
Yeah, anybody have been here before? Seen us before? That's
you're the staff, Kevin. Your staff. I don't know. You've seen almost everything we've done for the last 6 months. I'm not really sure. A quick, adult onset of Down syndrome there. And also, we're gonna. The reason I do this because the class is called the class itself. And that's just going to be the end of the kind of selling stuff. Just really quickly, just kind of this. We do this because I've spent 40 years. When I first started teaching, there were no fundamentals for stand-up comedy. I've been teaching almost 40 years. I invented the idea of teaching stand-up comedy back in 1982. I was in the industry alone for a decade. And in the beginning, it was like, I used to give my opinion of what was fun. Oh, that's funny. Do it this way and do it that way. And finally, I had a strong student went, well, I don't want to do it your way. I want to do it my way. And I went home and thought about it and went, well, he's right. And then I started thinking, well, if I want to teach these people joke writing, then I need to know what a joke is. And it took me the next 15 years to figure that out. And now I have an answer, and you'll get part of that today. Because jokes have a very... And that's been my journey since then. It actually took over my life. At the time, I was a full-time performer, making my living full-time as a stand-up comedian, and as an actor here in Los Angeles and Hollywood as well, both those things. And I didn't want to teach. I was just doing it because it was a kick and it was fun and nobody else was doing it, and it was just kind of a blast. And And I started finding all these techniques because there were these reoccurring problems that people had. Like, oh, some people just didn't even know how to write a joke. People didn't even know what a joke was. They didn't, it was all these things kept coming up. I'm going, well, I know how to do that. What the hell am I doing? What's another comedian doing, et cetera. And so I just started looking for fundamentals to teach, and then a door opened. These doors started opening, and I started seeing things that no one else was talking about, and it just turned into a whole lot of fun for me. For decades and so I've just been collecting those things, writing about them. And what I discovered over time as I started, working with other teachers to teach me how to teach better, I learned that once the idea is I get a technique. I get a technique. I figure out a technique that's out there that are real comedians using. Okay. And then I turn it into an exercise. And then if the people do that exercise in class, they get that technique as a skill they can do. Now, they're not great at it at first, but that's why we have stage time. There's no substitute for your 10,000 hours, like people say. There's no substitute for that. The question is, when you go out to a club, or you go to an open mic, or you go or even speak in front of people, whatever it is you want, where you want to be funnier, are you doing, you're taking this risk, it's terrifying to try to do stand-up comedy. And now you're going to go through all that struggle, get up on stage and not know what you're doing. Or see, because you can never guarantee if an audience is going to laugh, especially when it's a new joke. But what we can guarantee is that what you take on stage are jokes. Because I'm going to partly show what a joke is. Jokes have a specific structure, and it's universal. Please don't believe me at that, by the way. Now, be skeptical. I want you to be, because if you get real skeptical and really look into the stuff I'm about to teach you, you will discover that what I'm talking, because I'm part of the, we'll talk about this later, I'm part of the International Society of Humor Studies, which is like 5,000 PhDs all over the world, and me. And I present at their, oh, you're a ventriloquist, Graham, good. It's always nice. I bet you he's the one speaking for you, Graham. That's what I'm going to bet. Because Graham, let us see your hands. All right. Good. All right.
The other one's here as well. Come in, Adam.
So, when I gave my models to the my joke model to the International Society of Humor Studies, it went, you've added nothing new to humor theory, but you can use your model to teach people to write jokes in like minutes. And they were just blown away. So they started hiring me to go to their universities and teach joke writing. And so anyway, that's just kind of the journey has been many, many years, and I'm still discovering things, new things that I just actually last week I came up with a new idea that clarified a great deal about jokes. Anyway, that's just part of that. We'll answer all your questions, any questions you want at the end. Again, just stick around. I mean, because mostly what we're going to do is play, and I'm going to teach you a few things from this point on. That's what our job is, to teach you now. So there we go. Let's see. If there's any questions, again, please put them in chat once I've started, and we'll answer them as we go along. If you have any questions, put them in chat. Boy, that was good. I'm going to introduce to you the teachers. These people are all certified. They've gone through months of testing, of teaching, of going over my curriculum, which is very steep, because we're teaching you a lot of we're not going to give you, we don't give criticism. We give what I call solution feedback, which means if we can't fix it or make it better, then leave it alone. Okay, we have to give, and we have to tell you what we're doing. That's part of the rules of the way out. And if we give you a compliment, we'll also do the same thing, going, here's the technique you're doing well, so that you can repeat it. Sometimes it's like, oh, I didn't realize I was doing that. Then once you're aware of it, then you can go, oh, I could do that here. I can do that there. It's, because I'm all about techniques, skills, principles. I don't teach my opinion of what's funny. That's, what you need is some friggin' American coming over and you telling the Brits or anybody else what's funny. We don't do that. That's not what it is. We're not here to tell you what. This is my policy for dealing with what's funny. Funny is between you and your audience.
Today, 15th of December. Oh.
Yeah, I'll take the $10. All right.
I missed that.
So anyway, just to put that clear, we teach you skills that you apply to your own sense of humor, your own way. So that's where we're separated. That's the good thing about me doing this for 40 years, almost 40 years. And that's been my focus because I had other teachers that taught me how to. If you're familiar, you guys didn't know anything about NLP? It's pretty big in at least the UK right now. Anyway, I was Tony Robbins teaches NLP. That's what he got that from. I was his personal assistant, and I worked with him for about 6 months. And then I didn't like how he was doing business, so I went and found the original teacher, which is John Grinder. Studied with him for over 2 years. He's all over the UK. So is Richard Bandler, also over doing a lot. And I studied with John for 2 years, side by side with him, in front of everybody. I'm a master trainer, master practitioner, master of NLP, taught by the founder. So one of the things he taught me was modeling, what they call modeling. How do you go into an area where there are no fundamentals and pull them out? And it was just good fortune that I ran, into him. And for two years, he was like, "You're off track, right? This is how you find the fundamentals. Here's how you pull them out. Here's how you present them. Stop using, those names. Use original names for comedy ideas." And almost 2.5 years I worked with him as we clarified these things. So I'm not I've had, let me just say, if people go, "Oh, your stuff's good," trust me, I've had good teachers. And he's a genius, and he was one of them. So now I make my teachers have to pass a lot of tests, and they have to know joke structure. They have to know my four joke writing systems that I've invented. Because once I understood joke structure, these joke writing systems just started coming out of the woodwork. It's hard to explain, but as you see the work, some of it will be helpful to you. Anyway, certified teachers. So I've got to read Curtis's. Curtis is the first one, so we're going to go to Curtis. Curtis is the first teacher. I'm sorry, but I got to read this out loud. Okay, Curtis, he's on a gig somewhere. I've made my living solely from stand-up comedy related industry for 36 years. In the beginning, held gigs in Montana and Bakersfield. I started BBC. Find Me the Funny. Yeah, BBC did that for like a year or two. Anyway, VH1's Celebrity Rehab, the book Comedy-ology, and he is. Yeah, and I think that's where he's at now. He tours internationally with the Addicts Comedy Tour. He's recovering. And he does other comedians go on that are recovering, and then they do material about recovering for groups and stuff as well. So it's a very benevolent thing he's doing and helping people and stuff. And so he took my class 1982, the first year I was teaching, and I was real proud of him. Within I don't know how many years, he was opening for Bill Hicks, featuring, middling for Bill Hicks for years. Him and Bill Hicks. This picture is kind of funny. Well, he looks like a refugee from Scientology. I don't know. So that's what I see is there with that. So let me go back to sharing because I don't have to read his stuff. The other people will introduce themselves. Here is Kevin Comstock. Talk to me, Kev.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kevin Comstock. I've been performing professionally since 1987. I've been a working stand-up comedian, but I also took the skills and used them to make money as a professional MC, a live event special coordinator, that kind of thing. And now I'm pleased to be teaching stand-up comedy to people over the internet because that way I don't have to wear a COVID mask. Because a COVID mask is like breathing through a maxi pad.
Nice.
How many maxi pads have you breathed through?
Oh,
Good question.
even
Good
want to
question.
know. I have a
have to know.
favorite brand.
I had one of my comedian friends send me a thing where he used a pair of women's underwear over his face with the ears, you know, the leg holes and stuff. And I wrote back to him and said, you know, you don't have a filter. And he actually did that. So the next shot I saw from him. Anyway, he's not worried. He does, you know, he does cruise ships and stuff. Who's next? There's Jim McAleese.
All right, thank you. Hey, Greg, you forgot to mention Curtis as an internet sensation. Hey, everybody, I'm Jim McAleese. I'm a stand-up comedian based in Toronto, Canada, and I'm also a teacher at Second City here in Toronto. I've been performing across Canada from coast to coast to coast since 1979. I've had many appearances on Canadian TV, including my own special on CBC television. Some famous comedians who also started at the same club as me around the same time: Howie Mandel, Jim Carrey, and Norm Macdonald. If you've ever heard Norm go, "Ho!" I wrote that. All right. Alrighty then. When I started out, there were no classes or books to learn how to write and perform comedy. If Greg's Comedy School had existed back then, it would have saved me 6 to 8 years learning this stuff. So stand-up's a great calling. Welcome to the club, and it certainly beats welding.
Thank you, Jim. I'll send you the money over Venmo for that. That was good. I appreciate it. Okay,
welding.
Paul.
Hey everybody, my name's Paul Olson. I'm originally from San Francisco Bay Area. I moved to New York in the early 2000s, started professional comedy. I've studied Greg Dean's theory back in the early 2000s with Curtis Matthews in San Francisco. I studied theater and improv in San Francisco and in New York. I'm currently a member of a New York theater company. We do plays and improv there. I worked for major clubs in New York City and the East Coast, produced comedy shows on Lombard Street in San Francisco and 42nd Street in New York City. I worked in stand-up comedy film with Gilbert Gottfried, Al Madrigal, and Kamal Bell. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to meet all you guys and work with you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, Paul, that's nice. You look like a pedophile bus driver. I don't know. That's we're Oh, and now let's introduce, and she's here, the lovely Gayla
Hi, guys.
Johnson.
I'm the lovely. Am I the lovely? Oh, that's
You
so
are.
sweet. Thank you, Greg. Yeah, that's not my hair anymore. It's all matted thanks to COVID. I am Gayla Johnson, and I'm a comedian, actress, and comedian, working actress, working comedian. I actually did a tour in UK a few years ago. Actually, it was over at Comedy Store and Film Fig Bar, if you guys remember that. Before it was changed, and a few other.
Yeah, it was the Backyard Comedy Club before that, over in Bethnal Green area.
Yeah, and then that other location with over there by the theater. Forget the name of that location. Anyway, it was great. Well, I don't know. Americans, you know, what are we gonna say over there? We have so much to apologize for. We're sorry. Oh my God.
Starting with Trump.
So I didn't even want to. All right. So he's yeah, that. So 20 years of comedy. I've been performing 20 years in comedy. I have a Showtime special that's been out. It's called Fierce Funny Women. Is someone making love?
I thought that worked very safely.
I wish.
Yeah, I heard. I do. People do get that excited about me. That's true. No, not really. Not really.
Well, you make me moist.
I've been. I've been working with out here in LA. There's some. I'm LA based, so there's some networks out here: Comedy Central, Comics Unleashed, different things. I've got some spots, acting spots, TV spots, all that good stuff, NBC, ABC. But I've been working with Greg Dean School for like the last 14 years, teaching comedy technique, helping students, just working privately, doing all kind of stuff with different people, comedy based, obviously. And so I have an album out, a comedy album called Black Wives Matter, which is because I found that they do. Yeah, thank you. I'm actually, I've been working with Greg for like the last 15 years. As I mentioned, I watched several comedians come through his school, like up and coming comedians all go through his school, and go on with their lives and their comedy careers, and I have effectively watched people pass me by. This is humbling, but yeah, they're doing things and getting work, and I'm still teaching comedy at schools. So I don't mind, but it's fantastic to watch people grow and change and learn and improve. Nice to meet everyone.
Yes, Gayla. All right. Take over, Gayla.
Take over, Gayla. Wow. Well, here's the expletive. It's there for you to fit in your own language and interpretation. Who the hashtag mark is Greg Dean? Who is Greg Dean? That's what we want to know. If you don't already know, he's been out for here he is. Paid Comedy Store regular. There's a comedy store in London, not related, but yeah, here in California, Los Angeles, Hollywood, California, there's a comedy store. It's the original comedy store of a lot of famous people that have come out of there. Greg Dean came out of there. His name is on the wall. He's a regular at the paid comedy store. If you didn't know, there are people that perform that are not paid regulars, but Greg is one of the paid regulars, and your name will be on the wall if that is true. So that is going on, and that is still there. Very historical spot. Greg has performed various venues, alone, headlining. Here he is with Michael Davis, where two of them go back in time a little bit. They were buddies, clowns on Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey's circus for years. They actually traveled around the world and did circus acts. This is one of their acts that they did for Saturday Night Live. Greg was a guest star on the show. He's been asked back a few times. And Michael Davis is also a well-known comedian that has performed
in the 80s and 90s. He was huge and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, he did. Then he went into corporate work, made so much money, he retired at the age of 47.
Yeah, so a lot of money to be made in comedy, that's for sure. So this is Saturday Night Live, and Saturday Night Live is still a great, is still out there doing shows. Greg has been teaching comedy since 1982. Actually the first stand-up comic that can teach comedy, actually teaching a technique that is not opinion-based and not, based on what he thinks is funny and what he thinks isn't funny. It's all based on techniques and skills. So Greg's ultimate objective is to make you teacher independent. So you don't have to keep coming back to him to fix your jokes or work on your show. You learn the class, you take the class, you learn the techniques, you can work on your own show without coming back to class. So this is about teacher independent teaching, and he's honed those skills over years, 40 years of teaching all over Hollywood and abroad. We taught abroad, Greg, didn't we? We taught, we had a seminar in London. That was a while.
We did that for 2 summers in a row, yeah.
Yeah, we had Ali Cook working with us, a few of the people there, so it was great.
Yeah, you do perform with Steve Merchant and Ingalls. Where was that? That was, anyway.
Yeah.
You were on stage with a lot of known comedians there.
Yeah, it was great. We want to go back. LA Comedy Awards. It's hard to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and this one isn't, but it's an award. It is not on the Walk of Fame, but it is made from the same guy. This is the real
It is made
star.
by the same guy, and it really
the
is.
Same guy. It's his side gig. Make stars for make awards for comedy teachers. He was presented that at the Laugh Factory, so that's pretty cool. So Greg is an innovative teacher with comedy techniques. So this is one of the things he does, the World Humor Conference. These guys are PhDs and studied people that teach in colleges. They are accredited, just academics. So they're teaching humor studies. So what they've done is discovered Greg and invited him to all their conferences. Every time they have a conference, they invite Greg to the conference to say, can you teach us joke structure? Can you teach us riffing? Can you teach us timing? Can you teach us something real? Because International Studies of Humor, International Society of Humor Studies is fantastic, but they spend their time theorizing about humor, how humor is funny and how it works and how people Greg actually teaches you skills of humor. So this is why he's always invited, and he's always innovating his techniques based on how humor is changing over time. Because you guys all know, with the internet, there's body shaming and everybody's sensitive, and there's all this racial awareness now. So humor changes regarding,
Like the sound a bit funny.
Yeah.
It
With
trends.
the words.
Humor.
So when he got to college, he pulled the clutch in and grabbed it.
Okay,
Okay.
somebody needs to mute out there who's having a personal
grabbed it and
conversation.
I know. So Kevin, find
I'm
them.
trying
You
to
know.
find it. It's not easy to find. I'm finding. Looking right
Oh,
now.
I know. I know you. I know you.
We need to talk to Zoom.
Maybe everybody who's listening should say shut.
Yeah,
No, don't.
No.
Hey, you!
Yeah.
Yeah, shut up.
Because she's not in proper control of it.
Oh my God! Thank you. I heard somebody say.
Because if it's him driving back to his house.
Yeah.
All right. It's not.
Gayla's talking.
Gayla's talking. You all mute
Gayla's
yourself.
talking. Turn off your
mute yourself.
microphone.
Don't make me bring out my inner diva. I'll bring my diva out. I'll bring out my Michelle Obama.
There is a mute all button, but it's sure
Oh, it's all
a
good.
lot more fun to not mute
Jim?
everybody.
We'll figure it out. So you guys might have seen this book. It's a great book. It's been out for quite a long time. It's
2000.
on 6,000 times. I don't know.
No, since 2000.
Oh, since 2000. I'm not listening. Yeah, since 2000. So it's on the shelves. It's at books. It's at Barnes and Nobles. Anyway, it has the techniques in it. It has the skills. It has everything that we talk about. But the thing about the online class now that we have online classes, we innovated this book. It's not the same. We teach things that aren't in the book. We have worksheets and new ideas and new ways to teach comedy and new things you can learn being on stage that aren't in the book. So we've innovated. But that's the book that is part of the class, and it's in several
Languages. There you go.
Oh my
Thank
God!
you. A ventriloquist. That's
I was
good.
in somebody's house and listening to their conversation. So Chinese.
helpful.
Thank you so much. Chinese, Indonesia. It is starting to be. There's some other languages just being
In
translated.
2021, it'll come out in Vietnamese, oddly enough, and Spanish, and soon possibly French. It would, and English, because you guys spell things differently than we do.
You know what's interesting is that the book has such great techniques in it that it doesn't matter what language is in. The techniques work in all cultures and all languages because it's not opinion based. It's not based on, Greg's ideas of what's funny. It's not based on what he thinks is funny or what he thinks you should do. It's based on techniques, and techniques work as you apply them to any culture and any language. Which makes him a lot different than comics that teach comedy classes based on opinions of what they think is funny or what they think you should do or what they would do in your case and all of that. By teaching that way, they inadvertently make clones of themselves and by, also pass on limitations. So we got to be careful who gets in our head, right? People that can actually teach us a skill, not give us an opinion. And now I'm getting kicked out to a breakout room. God, I was having so much fun. Guys, I'm going to be in a breakout room. Why? Because sometimes people just want to register, just want to ask a question, just want to with someone about stand-up and the business. And if you want to do that, I'll be there for you, waiting for you, twiddling my, I'm serving drinks. I'm serving drinks in the breakout room if you want to drink. So come out and drink.
Anybody put in, if you want to go out there, put into chat, you'd like to go out with Gayla and chat, and otherwise we're just going to keep moving along here. Thank you,
don't
Gayla.
have to stay. You don't have to stay in the breakout. You can come back to the main room. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See ya.
Who's doing this? I think
I am.
Kevin. Oh, okay, Jim. Go
Sure.
after.
Thanks, Greg. So let's talk about some. By the way, Gayla forgot to mention in the Chinese edition, I've read that, and my favorite joke is the number 7. Anyway, I wait for the laughter, hear nothing, and decide to continue. All right. So, am I sharing this, Greg, or you're going to?
No, you go ahead and you talk about it.
So some of Greg's successes over the years. Whoopi Goldberg, look at that, an Oscar winner, and she's a regular on The View. And look at that quote: "I studied with Greg Dean and see where I am today."
Is that true?
In this meeting, yes, back in the, I think, mid-'80s, probably, early 80s, yep. Anthony Jeselnik, probably his most famous student currently today. You've seen him on Comedy Central with a lot of specials. He does the roasts, and he says Netflix is a joke. That's his special. I learned joke writing from the best, Anthony Jeselnik. There you go. I think, Greg, you had said he was wondering back then, am I too dark? And you said, go for it.
Yeah, he said, because his stuff was pretty dark. He said, and I said, you know, it's this. You're kind of dark. That's honest. It's honest. Go for it. Just do it. You know.
Yeah.
Last time I talked to him, every time I talk to him, he goes, "I'm going darker." Wow. And he does. He last one about the fraternity or anyway, dropping a baby thing was very
Yes.
funny.
To complete, he's never held a baby to completion. And then we have Christina Pajitsky.
Pajitsky, there we got close.
Yeah, oh, I thought it was. Okay. Christina P, as I call her, because we're close. Comedy Central and Netflix specials. Your Mom's House podcast with husband Tom Segura. And here's a quote from Christina. I took a comedy class and I fell in love with it. Christina, by the way, is also from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. So she's doing well. And that's just 5 minutes from Detroit. Pretty good, I think. She also performs USO shows in Africa, South Korea, and the Middle East. And she's worth a cool $12 million along with her husband. So stand-up has been very, very good to her. All righty. We're up to date on that one. Whoops. I'm closing something. There we go. Then we have Sherry Shepherd. Game on. Yeah. Mr. Iglesias, Man with a Plan, The View.
Hello.
Very funny. Hi to you too, sir. And Sherry Shepherd, she's out there and doing it and having a great career, all thanks to Greg. There, I said it. Now.
And there's
Greg,
more.
Yeah, there's more.
Those are kind of the ones that people know and all. So
there's
anyway.
more, but we only have 90 minutes. Is that right?
That's true. That's true. We only have 90 minutes.
So, Greg, tell us how jokes work, please.
Well, thank you. All right. If you have any questions so far about anything, put it in the chat and talk to us. Let us know what's going on with you and stuff. If you have any questions about anything, because again, I say stay skeptical. Stay skeptical. I want you to be skeptical, because if you investigate these things, you will find the same thing I did, that they work. Yet, you know, don't take it on faith. You know, that I'm a skeptic. And I love skeptics, because when they really get in and study what it is that I teach, I get converts. They're the ones who come and go, no, I looked into this, you know. They actually, anyway, there we go. We'll show. So we're going to talk about, this is where I started, was when I finally went, okay, what's a joke? If I'm going to teach joke writing, what's a joke? I said it took me 15 years to figure it out, at least. And and it's still, parts of it are still coming to the joke theory structure stuff is still coming around. So it's how jokes work. I'm not going to teach you the whole thing, because this is a free seminar. All right, so I wouldn't have anything to teach you in the actual class. So I'm going to teach you part of it. I'm going to teach you a couple of mechanisms that make jokes work. Okay, so let me go over what you already probably know about jokes. Oh, well, I'm not in the thing. There we go. Okay. Whenever I say joke, I mean a single unit of humor. Most people think, oh, you mean a one-liner, or those long stories that end with a big laugh. And I mean that, but I also mean whenever people are laughing in a sitcom. I'm hearing myself back. I'll just keep talking through it. Whenever I say that, it's sitcom, when people laugh in a sketch, when people laugh even in improv, when people laugh at a cartoon, whatever, in the end, you're going to find that at the center of all jokes, there are three in particular mechanisms, 5 total, that connect the two parts, okay? And that's what took me so many years. And then once I understood that, joke writing systems started coming to me. And as I'm going to teach you one of those joke writing systems today. And again, you'll be able to write a joke if you participate. Please participate, because, you know, this is not a video game. I'm actually here. Okay. People keep going, oh, Jesus Christ, he's not doing what I want him to do. All right, so here we go. Okay, it's my joke diagram. One of my students called it a half swastika of comedy. So Here we go. What most people know is setup and punch. This is perfect for one-liners. This only relates to one-liners. There's a lot of ways we present humor, present jokes, a lot of different ways, and I'll talk about a few of them today. The easiest to understand is setup and punch, but it is not. This is not joke structure. You go in classes and go to YouTube. Joke structure, this is what they present. This is not joke structure. This just is one way of presenting a joke. You can also present it, like I said, in a cartoon, in a clown gag. It can be a joke in literature. Shakespeare made a whole lot of jokes, etc. You know, so I'm just saying setup and punch isn't joke structure. It's just one way to present a joke. Now, I do use this because it's the easiest way to start to explain joke structure. So now, first of all, that comes along with this is expectation and surprise. This is also taught as joke structure. This idea goes back to Aristotle and Socrates. They were the first ones to write down something about jokes. Okay, Dana, please turn off your microphone, please. You know, doing your dishes isn't helping. Okay. Thank you. So
sounds like somebody's repairing a car.
All right, we're so expectation and surprise, important, but not joke structure. Again, it's just the desired result. Here's what I'm going to teach you that is important and is a fundamental. Get ready for this. This is really a deep fundamental. All jokes have two parts. That's a fundamental, okay? That it's set up and punched. This is one way of doing it. And I'm going to show you 3 different ones right now and show you comedians that do them different ways, okay? They have 2 parts. Just think in satire. If you haven't watched Star Wars, you're not going to get the satire of Star Wars. There's got to be 2 parts to it. Setup and a punch for one-liners, okay? In storytelling, it still have 2 parts. They are just presented differently through points of view, from one character to another, or from one point of view to another point of view. So just understand, this is a fundamental 2 parts. This becomes important because as you get deeper into really studying humor, like I said, with the universal structure, understanding the 2 parts.
Well, I'll tell you.
Go ahead and tell me, Gayla, then turn off your mic.
A couple of things I wanted to say prior to. One of the reasons we...
Thank you.
There you go. Gosh,
All
it's so hard to find people who are loud.
2 parts. I'll move on. So here's Stephen Wright. Here, he's going to do a one-liner for you, okay? And then I'll describe it, and then I'll show you some other people doing humor or doing jokes and how they apply the 2 parts. Stephen Wright does setup and punch because he's a one-liner comedian. So here we go. Here's Stephen.
I've been getting into astronomy, so I installed a skylight. People who live above me are furious.
Okay. So, setup. All right. I've been getting astronomy, so I installed a skylight. Now, here is the first mechanism. Here's the first mechanism. I call it target assumption. It's the assumption, one of the assumptions created by the setup, okay, that we have to buy into to make this joke work. All right? The target assumption. The whole point of writing this joke, or the setup for this joke, or the first part of this joke, is to make sure we all know that he's putting it in, the skylight in the ceiling of his house. That's the assumption we have to make. Okay? It's in the ceiling of his house and it looks out into the sky. That we make that assumption. We made that assumption based upon that setup, the first part. Okay? So the second part is the people who live above me are furious. So now here is the second mechanism called reinterpretation, an unexpected interpretation. And in this case, it's in the ceiling of his downstairs apartment. All right? His downstairs apartment. Now, notice that the reinterpretation is different from the punch. The reinterpretation is the idea, the punch is how he expresses it. There's a lot of different ways he could express that, but that's how he's doing it. So that's where your opposites come in. It's not, it is in his ceiling, it's not in his ceiling. It's in his house, it's not in his house. Okay, so that's called a target assumption. Oh, where's my, do I get my pointer? Cool, forgot about that. The target assumption, this one here, that's, it gets targeted by the reinterpretation and the punch, and it gets made wrong, okay? That's the point of a one-liner. It creates an assumption and then shatters that assumption. It makes it. Now, there's other things. You know, he's still into astronomy. He's getting into astronomy, you know, et cetera, and, you know, he probably installed a skylight. The difference is where it was. Where was the skylight put? It wasn't in his house. It was in his downstairs apartment. That's how he structured this joke. These two, now you're going to notice these two mechanisms will stay consistent because they are the mechanisms and are the ideas for the first part and the second part. And again, in this case, that's presented in setup and punch. This next one is not presented in setup and punch. Yes.
Could I just so when I say my marriage was this situation, because the target assumption was I'm a decent bloke, but the reinterpretation was my ex-wife thought I was a prick.
Say the joke again.
Like the target assumption was I'm a decent bloke in my marriage, but my ex-wife thought I was a prick. Did the reinterpretation? Could that then my marriage was a joke?
Exactly. Good job. We'll keep going over this. All right, here's another way up. Somebody did. You guys know Peter Kay? I'm sure you know Peter Kay. I've been watching Peter Kay for years. I love this guy. Anyway, he does first part and second part differently than a one-liner, and I'll explain it after I show you the joke. Come on, play, play, play. There we go.
You know that song "We Are Family"? For years I thought they were singing "Just Let Me Staple the Vicar." Right? Who's right and who's wrong here? Listen.
All of the people around us, they say, can they be that close? Just let me staple the vicar.
That's what they sing. Just let me staple the vicar. What's all that about?
Just let me staple the vicar.
Now, that makes me laugh every time I watch it. Now, the first part here is, this is really important. This came to me late. This is in the late 15 or teen years that I'd been looking at it. Finally realized at least half the jokes or more are the setup is common knowledge already in our head. The setup, if we want to call it that, the first part, it's in our head. Okay, so in this particular case, it's the lyrics to "We Are Family." The target assumption is, if you know the real lyrics, which is "Just let me state for the record." That's what they're really saying. But we know it's, at least we know it's not "Just let me staple the vicar." No, Americans would even speak that way, right? Because vicar is a very Brit word. So anyway, that's the target assumption is what they're really saying, or at least not stapled. And then, of course, the second part is when he plays the verse for us, and the reinterpretation is "Just let me staple the vicar." Right, so he's using these two parts in different way. Part one is already in our head. Okay, that's the setup, if you want to call it that. And then the second part is him lip syncing "Just let me staple the vicar" along with the song. So it does the same thing. It shatters the assumption. There's these two mechanisms. But he does these two parts, and that's why setup and punch is not a fundamental. It's just one way of presenting a joke. Just one of thousands of ways of presenting a joke. Okay, and that's why it's anyway. Next is Bill Burr. Hope you know him. I like him a lot. He does a lot of good act outs and stuff. He does this in a very different way, and I'm going to show you. And again, after you see the joke, I will then put it on the diagram so you can see how he uses the two parts in yet another way. Oh, come on.
No means no, that's another one. No means no. It's like, no, it doesn't. All right? Look, no means no. No, that means no. All right, but no, stop it. What are you doing? Oh my God. You're being so bad. Stop it. No.
He's doing this differently because he's jumping from one point of view to another point of view. He's using the two parts differently because he tells stories, all right? One-liners do setup and punch. That's why all jokes have two parts is a fundamental. Then from there, we can explain all of the different ways people use those two parts. Okay, in his particular case, no means no. Well, you know, the target assumption is that no only means no. No means no. It just means no. That's all that it means. And then, of course, he comes along and does the, you know, so he's saying no means no. Our assumption is, oh, that it means no. No means no. Then he plays a flirtatious girl, a point of view. And now she's saying, no, stop it. What are you doing? No, you're so bad. You know, and the reinterpretation is that also sometimes no can mean yes, based upon the subtext. So he's using all the same things, only the first part and the second part are different points of view. His point of view, then he acts out this flirtatious girl's point of view to do this, okay? So, and now he's making fun of the language of you know, well, pretty much the Me Too movement. No means no. It only means no. He's going, no. Wait a second. That's, you know, it's more. There's more to it than that. He's not making that wrong. I don't think he's condoning sexual misconduct. He's just saying, look at, you know, look at the bigger picture of this, so you don't get stuck with this political correctness and get put into a box by it, I think is his point, which is one of the reasons I think he's a really good comedian, because there's maybe a point beyond the actual joke that he's making. Wow, how interesting is that? And I find that's where your best comedians come in, is there is some point they're making beyond the joke. It's not just a joke for joke's sake. Stephen Wright's joke is a joke for the joke's sake. He's doing the joke to trick the audience, make them think one thing and then tricking them. That's the trick. You can do the trick. I can teach you the trick real easily. What Bill Burr is doing here is something that comes from a lot of experience and then trying to communicate something beyond the actual joke itself, which is my favorite kind of comedy. And we work on that a lot in the advanced class, in the 201 class and stuff. So let me get out of here. Where is I guess that goes to a different screen. Why isn't it giving the, oh, why isn't it giving that back to me? Kev, can you get me out of share? Why isn't it letting me out of share? There it is, came back to me. Did you jump out? Okay, good.
Yeah, I did it.
So I'm here to answer any questions. Any questions, comments? Did anybody put anything in over here? The Peter clip before he set up, tells people, oh yeah, no, the karaoke, there's a lot to it. There's a really nice setup for that whole thing about karaoke and stuff like that, but I can't die. I'll say other jokes in what he does. I mean, he does a whole bunch of examples of the different ones. I just thought that one was really helpful to show the point that I was doing. Peter Cage, makes me laugh. Love. Anyway, so was there any questions anybody had? Wave your hand, unmute, do whatever you need. Yes, Nicole.
I'd like to know the last technique, the POV joke. How would you write that if you write it for somebody else and not for yourself?
Well, first of all, I say get up and act that out. Get up and do it, or write it as a dialogue. We would call dialogue. How do you write that for somebody? But see, it's more difficult this way because when the humor, I spend a lot of times, you have a lot of class 3 or 4 where we sit around and go, okay, let's work on the characters that are inside your joke until you get what I call the mindset. How does the character see things differently than you? Okay, or the public in general sometimes, and that'll give you the reinterpretation. That'll give you the second part, right? Because it's not just a joke, it's the way that character thinks. It is a joke, it's in joke structure, but the reinterpretation, the second part, comes from, in that particular case, about the way somebody else behaves and the way they think about something. Okay.
But that means you write the directions as well, because otherwise.
Oh, yeah, sometimes, yeah, absolutely. That you've got to say it this way, you know, or act it out for them. No, what are you doing? Oh my God, oh, you're so bad. No, right? Because it's what I call a behavioral joke. The joke is in her behaviors, in her body language, in her vocal tone. That gives us the subtext, you know, of what she's really saying. She's saying no. Okay, the subtext is she's saying yes, so I'm interested, right? So yeah, I would put parentheticals around it and kind of go, you got to act this way, or sometimes I'll put little when I write it for people or whatever, I'll say this person has to behave this way, or the target target assumption won't be in the right place. In other words, sometimes you have to. I had a student. Oh gosh, she's a UK, Kaylee, sorry. She was just finished this program, and her opening joke was she had to do a behavioral emotional jump from it's like the joke was that because she's such a perfectionist, her parents feel bad for her parents don't encourage her, but they just feel really bad for her boyfriends. Which I thought was really funny. And then she plays her parents going, oh, you're the one who's, you're the one who's dating our lovely daughter. Oh, just thank you so very much. Our condolences. She had to have that jump. Do you follow? She did the joke without it, just said the joke. And she's like, well, I thought that was funny because in her head, she saw the picture of that, but wasn't realizing it. I saw that. No, it wasn't I. I didn't teach her. It was Gayla and Kevin, I think, were teaching her that class. And they recognized it. Again, this is all part of the technique. They recognized, oh, that's a behavioral joke. So we have to explain to her what a behavioral joke and then what she does and then work with her. So she goes, oh, and then she realized, oh, I've got like 2 or 3 other behavioral jokes in that same show. Now her show got twice as funny very easily. Because now she's constructing the jokes with behaviors and with words and with characters. Oh, well, there we go. Now we're starting to get to the meat of the whole thing, which is why this is such a steep curriculum for my teachers. Because I know all these things from 40 years of doing stuff, and then once I write them down, and they're to teach them to somebody else and then get them to recognize those things and be able to help that person. Her show, you went from, if you read it, you'd go, that's not funny at all. When we recognized that it was behavioral jokes she needed to do, laugh after laugh after laugh after laugh, because now she knew where the jokes were and how to construct them. And it was with her, she was an actress. So her acting ability really came into it. Another question. Anybody have a question? There was something, much appreciated. Thank you. So I don't see any hands or anything.
There was a question about, Greg, there was a question in there from Emma about what's more important, delivery or material. Maybe you want to
delivery or material, yes.
Exactly.
The thing I put as the most important thing in my classes is your relationship with the audience. Material is secondary. Ooh, there's something to be talked about.
Yeah, to build up.
You know what? I go so far as to say the show is the relationship, because stand-up comedy is not acting, and it's not improv. It's kind of improvising your show in relationship with the audience, because the audience is involved in the whole process. minimally by their laughter. Minimally by their laughter should have an impact, has an impact on the performer, just minimally, just to wait for the laugh, come back in at the right time, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to be present. You have to be aware of the audience. You have to know what's going on. Otherwise, you do a canned show, and you can tell the person's doing the show the way they decided at home or the way they decided in a previous performance, and just give that, it presents that. Now stand-up comedy becomes a presentation for them. I teach that it's a relationship. It's more of a dialogue. Now, the audience is communicating with their laughter, lack of laughter, shuffling around, once in a while a heckle or people talking, or maybe just the kind of laugh that they're doing, and maybe even requests, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're aware of them, now you can always find their funny bone. That's Gayla earlier. She's off in the room talking with people. She hardly ever bombs. I mean, I haven't seen her bomb in years because she learned this. She's got a great attitude. She says, I'll do any venue once. She'll go off and do some venue that one of my students invites her to. She'll go do it, come back home. How'd it go? You know, next time I see her, how'd that thing go? She'll go, oh yeah, it was a hell gig. It was horrible. It was just a terrible, terrible place. How'd your show go? Oh, I crushed it. Because she knows how to go into those hell gigs and then talk to everybody and turn it around. And if there's a television, she turns off the sound and adds the dialogue to it, or whatever she's got to do.
Yeah. You mentioned NLP before. Does she actually read people, do you think? Or
she reads the whole situation.
Okay.
You see, it's a relationship that's happening. Okay. She goes in and takes on, here's the phrase I use, and it's in a meme somewhere out there and stuff as well, which is do the show that's in front of you, not the one in your head. She has that. And if people who stay with me long enough, they also get, that's the big secret. If you're present and you play, you win. You'll always leave the stage with your dignity, because you will have been present and tried to solve the problems. And if you continue to play and have fun with all the stuff that goes wrong, at the end, you might not be funny, but the audience will go, well, I was having fun hanging out with that person, man. You know, I hope they get funnier or whatever. You leave the stage with your dignity. Okay. But you have to be present and you have to play. Be willing to make fun of yourself. I'm going to move on. Sorry, I think there might be some other questions. Save those for the end. I can only do a few here, but I need to move on to some other stuff because now I'm going to teach you. Oh, come on, give me my share, my presentation. There it is. That was that one. Now I'm going to show you how to write a joke. We're going to write a joke right now, because now that you know these two mechanisms and that jokes have two parts, okay? Just knowing that, I'm going to show you how that leads into understanding how to write jokes. Now, I'm not going to take you all the way where we actually write a punchline. I'm going to take you to the reinterpretation where you'll understand the idea for it. The transition from the reinterpretation to a punchline has its own set of what I call micro skills. There's all these things you need to know to take an idea and how to express it as a punch, and how to write punches, how to write the second part, or whatever you want to call it. How do you write that? It's got a lot of things in it that when people do it wrong, they screw up the comedy in it. So I'm not going to take you that far. That's part of it. We've spent almost a whole class on that in the 101 class. Spent a lot of time going, okay, let's rewrite that joke. Let's rewrite that punch. Let's rewrite that punch. Let's rewrite that punch. You know, and we just go over them and over them. And then pretty soon you go, oh, I see how to do that. And it's repetition in class. Repetition in class to learn how to do that. So I'm going to take you to the reinterpretation, but you'll see the idea for the joke, which is the best I can do in the short period of time that I've got here. Good. Okay, we're on time. So the setup in this particular joke writing exercise is going to be common knowledge. In other words, the setups for all the jokes that we're going to write, then the target assumptions are already going to be in our head, in everybody's head. It's common knowledge. All right. So pardon me for saying this, but it's going to be a traditional American wedding, because I don't know if there's a difference. I don't know if enough about if they're different in the UK and whatever culture you're in. So I do know this one, so I'm going to do that. So it's going to be what we considered a cliche American wedding, a traditional one. Okay, so don't try to be funny. This isn't the funny part. Okay, what I need you to do, help me out with this, is that I want you to, these are all going to be assumptions. What are the assumptions? What are you assuming? What are the people, the actions, the things that are in the environment, the things that are there? What do you expect? Everybody expect to be in a traditional American wedding. Unmute if you have something and yell it out, and we'll try to recount them.
The woman's in white.
Yep.
Right.
That it's two people actually getting married.
People, yep.
Priests.
Supportive
Americans.
family.
Yeah, right? There, people are for it. Keep going.
Flower
Anything else?
girl.
What was
Flower
it?
girl.
Flower
Flower
girl.
girl.
Good.
Dress.
There's a dress. She hopefully on the bride.
At least.
See, I'm already writing jokes just by noticing the assumption you're making.
Right,
You follow? That's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you once you understand what people are assuming, you can write ideas for jokes. Writing jokes themselves have a little bit more complication to them, the actual crafting of them. Anything else?
Greg, some people are writing in chat.
Oh, okay. Read them out for me.
Luke says the bride is beautiful. Emma says family, best behavior, expensive. November rain, Keith Shaw writes. But I guess he's getting ahead of ourselves. I guess with the music. The bridesmaid and the best man.
Good. That's exactly. So here's the three that I'm going to isolate, and we're going to write jokes about, because most people would agree these things will be there. So let's pick. Now here's the next step. This is where creating a joke writing system comes in for me. It took me a while to figure this out, which is now the next thing you do is you define your premise. And the premise is very simple. It's a negative opinion about a subject. A premise is a negative opinion about a subject. In this particular case, we're saying the negative opinion is this marriage won't work. There's going to be red flags at this marriage that are going to tell us that this is going to be a disaster. This marriage is not going to work. That's our premise. Now, let me show you how that comes into play in just a moment. All right, so let's set up the target assumption. We're going to talk about music, okay? And when she's walking down the aisle, we're all going to assume it's going to be the bridal march. Am I correct? That's our assumption. That's our target assumption. Now, I'm going to ask you all to yell out or put into Slack. If you participate, you get to write a joke here. At this wedding, since this is going to be one of those red flags that this marriage isn't going to work, you see, the premise now informs or frames the reinterpretation, which will then be expressed as a punch. But right now, come up with a reinterpretation. So at this wedding, our wedding, what kind of music are they going to play as she walks down the aisle?
Heavy metal.
Heavy metal. Keep going. What was it?
This is the end.
This is the oh, the Doors song. They're in Apocalypse Now. This is the end.
Funeral march.
Good. That's great. See, we're laughing already. It's fun.
Why can't we be friends?
What? Yeah, that stops after I do.
Mr. and
Up in the name of
Mrs. P.
love.
Wow, good.
Mr. and Mrs. P write the bitch is back.
Yeah.
So here's
Funeral march.
Funeral march, nice.
Jurassic Park theme, somebody wrote.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park theme, good.
Imperial March
Very
from
nice.
Star Wars.
So once we know what the audience is assuming, now that actually starts to point to us, lets us know what we can write a joke about. The second part. That's where the joke writing system comes in. You list your assumptions, you start writing jokes almost automatically. Okay? That's why you learn technique, or my technique. Other teachers, this is my work. This isn't available anywhere else. Well, it is, because those people are complimenting me by copying me. And so they say that's a compliment. So these people are all out there making a living by complimenting me. So here's some that we've come up, that people have come up with before. Theme to Jaws. That's good. Okay. Taps, if you don't know what that is, here it is. Now, just recently, I found this cartoon, and somebody else coinciding joke writing. They did a cartoon. Now, this is a cartoon. You know, was it your dad's idea to play taps at our wedding? Same idea. Oh, somebody else came up with the same idea, shattered the same assumption about the music for the bride coming, you know, getting married. Did a cartoon about it. Remember before I said, it's still got the two parts. The two parts for this cartoon is bridal march and taps. Wow. Now it's being expressed as a cartoon. That's why you don't listen to people when they teach you only set up and punch. It's not a fundamental. First part, two parts is a fundamental. So watch out. And the last one is. Now I love this one because it's also a march. It's actually called what is it? The Imperial March is what it's called. I like it because she'd be walking down the aisle with the same steps. You know what I mean? Of the bridal march, and I just always like that particular one. Let's just keep going. Again, write your ideas into chat. You can talk about and give them to me afterwards. I have some stuff that I want to cover, so I'm gonna push along here. Next, I'm gonna do the bride's dress. Somebody brought that up. And we're going to make an assumption that, of course, that it's a white, flowery, kind of a lot of things on it. Lace, that's the word I was looking for. Oh, but at our wedding, remember, the premise frames the reinterpretation at our wedding. What is she going to wear?
PVC.
Nazi uniform.
Boy Bunny.
Nazi uniform. I've not heard that one before. Anybody, jump in, unmute.
Bikini.
A bikini. Make it worse.
A gimp outfit.
A what?
A gimp outfit.
Cool.
Ex-boyfriend's skin.
Good.
A strap on.
Wow, a strap on? Did you say a strap on? I've not heard that one either. Don't ever walk behind me.
Luke writes in Ku Klux Klan.
Wow, so a little pointed sheet.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
What about the mask of Hannibal Lecter?
Wow, nice. Or Hannibal Lecter himself. Okay, that's good. Here's some we came up with. A stained dress. That's literally a red flag. That's what I think. Here's another. See-through.
Nice.
That's the girl next door. Come on. If you live next door to a brothel. All right. And the last one is hazmat suit.
Oh.
Wow, that's social distancing, huh?
I called it, haven't I?
Yeah. That's a
so trendy. So
now,
trendy.
personally, of all the ones that came up over the years, my favorite was a ghillie suit. But nobody knows what it is. A ghillie suit is those grass outfits snipers wear.
Camouflage.
Right? It's camouflage, right. You can't even see them, right? I thought that was hysterical. Now, I don't put it in here because it doesn't, now the punch doesn't have common knowledge, so it can't work. Does that mean it's a bad joke? No. It's a great joke. It just has to be performed for a particular group of people that have you do that at a military base, you're going to get a big laugh. You follow? Oh, yeah. That's why structure is important, because some people say, oh, it's not funny because it didn't get a laugh. Now, when you know structure, you can now make that distinction and go, that's a great joke if you have if they have the common knowledge. And so you have to perform that joke for a very specific group of people. It doesn't make it a bad joke. It just makes it, you have to use it in the proper way. You start to understand the difference, because other teachers would just go, oh, I didn't get a laugh, get rid of it. Wait, I look at that joke and they go, that joke's hysterical if you do it for the military. Specifically, if you did it for snipers, Jesus. You just wouldn't be able to see any of them. Yeah, it's just, you know, so. Now we're going to go on one more time through this whole thing. First kiss. Now we're going to find out how sick you people really are. The first kiss is normally between the bride and the groom. At our wedding, who is it going to be between? Between who and who? Come at me.
I thought it was kind of fucked up how the groom kissed his sister first.
Sister, okay.
The groom and the mother-in-law. The groom and the bride's mother.
Nice.
Bride takes her teeth out.
Good. Jim, anybody?
We've got the priest and the bride, and the father and the bride, the groom and a mirror, a dead body.
Whoa! Wow! So, you got the Weekend at Bernie's. That's what we got going on there, right? The movie. Here's some that we ran into over the time, which is some people got Bride and the Best Man. That's a you know, that's kind of a red flag, don't you think? You know, the bride and the bridesmaid. We decided later that actually might make for a better marriage. So, so that's just that's personal. Now the lad. Now get ready. Get ready.
Dad and the groom.
Priest and the ring bearer.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Oh,
yeah?
no.
Yeah. Oh, where the hell did that arrow come from? Somebody else do that? That's weird. Take it out. So, okay. So what are you thinking, priest and ring bearer? What are you thinking? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you people are sick. This is what I was thinking. It's Frodo. What the hell were you people thinking? You are sick. Sick. You're sick. It's Frodo. He's the ring bearer. I don't know if he's gay or not. I don't really care. But, you know, he did get the ring, take the ring back. And the question is, what kind of ring was he using? All right.
Mr. and Mrs. P say the first kiss was Gene Simmons.
Oh my goodness, did a pun on that as well. 2 interpretations on kiss. Good for you. You're getting it.
That's particularly useful if you want to disappear in the wedding.
Exactly. Exactly. Good for you. See, again, once you know these fundamentals, there's 2 parts. One of them is an assumption. Once you know what people are assuming, that's part of one joke. Part of the joke writing system is to just list people's assumptions about stuff, just like we did. This joke writing system is based on that, based on common knowledge, using common knowledge and understanding what everybody's assuming. Oh, these are all fundamentals that I can teach you and you can practice on your own, and the more you practice, the better you get at them. Again, I'm showing you these things so that you understand that when we talk about, we have all these fundamentals to teach you, that you really believe me. That I'm going to really show you some of them. We got a lot more in the class, okay? We're just scratching the surface of this. Now we're going to go into some storytelling, okay? How do you use storytelling? Let me show you how we use storytelling better, more in, John Mulaney. I like him here. No, come on, why is that not working today? Storytelling.
I'm changing between subway trains, right? And it's 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? And you have to walk down this long corridor in order to change trains. 2 o'clock in the morning, it's just me and this woman. And she's walking a few yards ahead of me. And we're walking down, and she starts giving me, like, the over-the-shoulder, like that, like, look at me. And then she starts to pick up the pace. She starts to walk a lot faster. So I think, oh, she must hear the train coming. Or she feels it in her feet, like a Native American in a movie. So I start to sprint down the hallway at her, and she looks back and she's like, ah! And then she gives chase, so now we're like booking it down the corridor at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm gaining on her. I'm gaining on her, and we're getting to the end of the hallway, and she's going into that like dead end shuffle, you know, that women do when you chase them. And I'm almost there. I'm almost at her, and then it dawns on me. Oh, she's running from me. Because in her eyes, I'm an adult. And adults rape each other.
He's a funny guy. He does. He looks like he's 8. So the 2 parts set up and punch again. It's 2 parts. I use this again just so that we have a representation. Here, it's more like, it's the assumption being made. John, she starts running faster, and I think, oh, she must hear the train, and that's her reason for running. Okay, she's running to catch the train. That's the assumption. Now, here's what's interesting about the storytelling of this joke. It's his assumption that we're laughing at, not our assumption. Not, do you follow? Oh, he's talking about how he made an assumption about her behavior, that she was running to catch the train and now he was late, so that he started running after her, okay? And then that was his point of view, right? And then she, oh, she's running from me. And that, and she's running, from him and stuff. That then he understands her point of view, which shatters his assumption. It's his assumption that's being made here, not us as an audience member. Okay, we make it with him, yet now we're shattering his assumption. Now, there's a lot of jokes in this story, of course. But I was just talking about that one particular joke that kind of framed the whole story, made the whole story work, which was he's chasing her because he thinks here's the train. And I love that joke about a Native American. That's there's a lot of great jokes in this as well. Can't diagram all of them, even though I can. And by the way, we're not going to ask you a diagram and log joke. It's that, this is just a visual representation, so I can, show it to you and it makes sense to you instead of me just saying the words. Visual learning is a lot better for a lot of people, including myself. But now we've still got the 2 parts, 2 reasons that she's running. That's what the story is about, that mistake. And then he puts a lot of other jokes in there along the way. That's what we do in class. You start out with a little story like that, then we start filling in all the other jokes along the way, because we could start going, oh, there's this assumption and that assumption and this, we can turn that into a joke, and start with a story that's not particularly funny. Maybe has one good joke in it, and then we can fill in the jokes because we understand technique and we have a lot of different ways. We're going to teach you at least 5 different ways of generating material. I say generating material because it's not always writing. It's not always writing material. Sometimes, like, that was asked earlier, was get up and become the character and let the character create the joke. There's just a lot of ways to create good jokes once you understand what a joke is. And that's the first thing that we cover with this. Okay, so as a woman's point of view. All right, so now one-liners. We're going to turn some one-liners. Oops, we are running late. We're going to turn some one-liners into, I'm only going to do 1 or 2, because into storytelling act-outs. Because if the structure is the same from the 2 parts, from one point of view to another. So we start with Stephen Wright's joke. Oh, I'm going to pass this up. I'm going to stop that. Here it is, because we're running behind. I've been getting into astronomy, so I installed a skylight. The people live above me are furious. Now, my students, a couple of my teachers are going to turn this into something else. I'm only going to do one real quick because we're running behind. Kevin, do yours.
All right, I'm going to take this one-liner and I'm going to put it between myself and my wife. Okay. Honey, I'm so excited about astronomy, I've put in a skylight. Yeah, but the people upstairs are going to be furious.
Do you follow? Oh, it's same. Now we've structured. Is Gayla here?
She's in the break room.
No, she's in the break room. Jim.
Yep. So I'm going to change this a little bit, and it's going to be a conversation between the neighbor upstairs and the fellow that put the skylight in. Getting into astronomy can cause problems. Quit looking at my wife's dress. Tell her to stop blocking my skylight.
Okay. Turn it into another. Okay. So now once we understand what the joke is and stuff, we can now turn it. You know, I'm showing you this because when you start taking one-liners and turning them into act-outs, you start being able to really see that the same joke structure of two parts apply. It's just not set up in punch per se. It's from one point of view to another point of view. Same thing with tags. Tags adding a laugh at the end of a punch are what tags are. And we'll work with you on those as well. So let's see. Okay, Kev, keep going.
All right. So a lot of times people ask what makes us different. There are a lot of other comedy schools, like we had told you before. There is over 100 years experience teaching. Now, if you probably add up our ages and the amount of we've been teaching, it's probably closer to 600 years, but that may not be true. All right. So we have a lot of experience. This is a step-by-step system. It's not opinion-based. Okay, we give you follow the numbers, do step 1, do step 2, do step 3, and you have jokes. Bang! It is technique at its best. We offer solution feedback.
I'll keep doing this, see if you can find that person who's talking out loud. Solution feedback is if you can't fix it or make it better, don't talk. You don't need somebody to say to you, oh, that joke didn't work. You already stood there in the roar of silence, all by yourself. Okay, we teach only skills and techniques. We don't, again, it's not about our opinion. Funny is between you and your audience. That's the way I handle that. Between you and your audience, it's not mine to give. It's not the teacher to do. Our job is to get you to trust your sense of humor and then give you skills to help you articulate your sense of humor. Okay, and along with that is that we don't censor you. If you guys ever ask me, I'll tell you the craziest set anybody ever did in one of my classes that cleared the house, but I let them do it. No censorship, because it's one of the great last bastions of good free speech, and you should be able to say what you want to say, short of what in our Constitution is called clear and present danger. Clear and present danger is where you've created a clear and present danger to somebody, okay, and it's a law. Short of that, you can do anything that you want other than break the law in my classrooms or talk about it. I mean, I just don't want to deal with that kind of stuff. But on the other side, if you're a victim of any of those things, whatever. Okay, so you back with me, Kev?
Yes, I am.
Okay, take over, sir.
All right, so once again, this is about skills and techniques. We give you things that you can use to make yourself to express your own sense of humor. We're going to teach you how jokes work. Obviously, we started a little bit of that. We're going to go into way more depth. We're going to have at least 5 ways of generating material. We got crowd work. Crowd work is like riffing, or some people do a little bit of improv, maybe musical comedy, asking for suggestions from the audience. Anything like that where you are actually asking for audience to be part of the show rather than just laugh is crowd work. Premise to routine. This is where you're going to take yourself, you're going to come up with some topics that you want to write, you're going to turn the topics into a premise, and you're going to turn that premise into a routine, a set of some jokes about a similar premise. We have storytelling and act outs. A lot of people don't want to be one-liner comedians, so we showed you that. We split up. We teach you how to split up the one-liners. We teach you to rehearse to be present. That is the most important thing. That probably should be number 1 on there, because you cannot have a relationship with the audience unless you're present. And part of that is the rehearsal process. I think it might have been Jesus said, "As ye rehearse, so shall ye perform," something like that. And we have object and space work. That's basically, kind of pantomime, doing things to try to make it look accurate. If you're talking on a cell phone, is it a flip phone? Are you holding it to your cheek? Are you doing it on a speakerphone? All that kind of stuff is just going to make your comedy more colorful, and more deeper. Managing stage fright. We say manage stage fright because we're not trying to get you to get rid of stage fright. Stage fright is a good thing. We want to channel that exciting energy of stage fright into something positive. And show construction, we're going to help you put together a show. We actually help you to rate your material. We do different things, including graphing material, so you can figure out where the laughs are and set up your show so you get the biggest laughs where you're hoping for. And audience engagement, once again, we like to say that the show is not your material. Your show is your relationship with the audience. So that's the biggest thing we're constantly trying to do, is to have the comedians keep the audiences engaged. We got some bonuses. These are things that just come with it. We got the free PDF workbook. And we have office hours every week, which is really, really cool. 4 hours a week in 4 different time zones. You can come in, you can be a fly on the wall and listen to comedy stories, or you can ask questions or run material, whatever you'd like to do. We have a little bit of support in Zoom training. We do have the tech support department that they can help you if you're having some problems. You can make up a class by watching the videos. We do record every class. We just make sure that you just have to ask for the link and we'll give it to you. All the teachers are certified stand-up comedy teachers, and we actually are part of a Slack messaging system. And so you can be part of our Slack community and you can direct message teachers and fellow students, which works out really good. We have real-time communication across all of us. You're going to be part of our membership in our global stand-up community. Like I said, we have the Slack community, but we also have Facebook and all kinds of other stuff. You get to be part of that as well. And we give discounts on classes, on private sessions, video courses, books, and that kind of stuff. And I don't know, is it a tax write-off in England?
Yeah, I don't know about that. In America,
in America,
education.
That's a big sales thing in America. So.
Right. And why do people have only one monopolies commission? Come on. So it just seems, anyway.
So we'd love to have you join us. The class starts next week. Actually, there's 4 different sessions. So I know I've seen a lot of people are from all over the world on here. If there's a time that's more convenient, please take a look at our Eventbrite. I'll also post the links in this chat as we start to wrap up, so you can go ahead and find one that's most convenient. The classes are 3 hours long for 7 weeks. This is the fundamentals class. It's going to be teaching you all of the techniques and fundamentals, and if you stick with us to the advanced class, you would take those and put them into practice big time. You can sign up if you want to. I will put the link in chat. And our beginning classes, these are only 15 seats available. We want to try to keep it to the right number so we can give everybody the attention they deserve. We have a $50 discount code, and the promo code is 50GregOff. Okay, I don't know who came up with that, but that's like 50.
I'm really glad my name isn't Jack.
Kevin, a few people have asked in chat what the promo code is, so take note, everybody. 50.
Promo code.
Put that right in the
all
chat.
In caps?
Yeah, it must be all in caps and no space.
Mystery solved.
So everything you need is in chat, and then that's all. That's the big sell. We're done. Okay, now we're just going to hang out with you guys and answer your questions. We just wanted to let you know it's available. If you think it's right for you, sign up. Otherwise, the class and everything here is just for free. We just wanted to let you know we exist and exactly what it is that we teach. And if it's correct for you, you think you would really benefit from it, join us. Now, I'm just going to, you can go to a breakout room, it's all, but now I'm just going to stand here and talk with everybody. I'm going to take it out of chat, and out of share, and I'm here. Yes.
Can you put that, the third last screen back up that has the list of the agenda or the cover?
Come on,
I think it's 3 back.
That?
Go back, back, the next one. That's it.
Yes, these are all these are, and this isn't all of it. We're just trying to let you know there's a progression of things. And what's interesting is, as you learn each thing, it informs the next thing that you learn. In other words, once you learn joke structure, then it's really easy to teach joke writing. And then once you're writing jokes, it's easy to teach you how to tell stories. and find the jokes in telling the stories, which leads into how I'm going to have you rehearse, which then leads to being present with the audience and having fun with them and still being able to remember your show naturally.
Yeah.
Remembering it, because I teach people to just be constantly telling a story. Even if you're doing one-liners, tell it like a story. Because there's more communication. We go over reasons and stuff, and that's where all the NLP comes in with the stuff, and neuroscience, because I've studied a lot of neuroscience and a lot of psychology and sociology, and the NLP really helped kind of parse those things out, so I understand how the human mind remembers. So we continue to help you to remember normally. Rather than some people practice a certain way where they kind of do abnormal memory and then they get messed up, and they can get really good at it. So they're practicing bad technique. So,
yeah.
You know, is that long enough? You get it? Did you get on a phone?
Yes.
Take a shot.
I've done that. Yeah, thanks.
Cool.
Thank you.
Anybody wants to take a picture? That's just the stuff you get. And then it's again next Tuesday, nice and easy. And then the promo code. And now let's just chat and talk. Because that's my more favorite stuff, because I don't feel comfortable selling stuff. I like to teach. That's my job, but I have to let people know what I teach and how I teach, and because it's different than other stand-up comedy classes. Because I've been doing it for so long. If I did something, if anybody did something the same way for 40 years, geez.
Can I ask a question?
Was there any questions?
Yes, I've got one. It says 7 to 10 local time. I guess that's local time to the US.
That's your time. We're up at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Okay. Yeah. So local time's UK. That's good.
So
okay.
It's in everybody's local time. So we have classes. We teach them at different times of the day to fit your schedule, no matter which time zone it is.
Brilliant. Okay.
Any other questions about comedy?
What's your favorite joke?
Oh God, what's my favorite joke? Wow. I particularly like this one because I think it says a lot about who he was, the gay guy in my class. He wrote the joke, you know, you want to know why gays are such good dressers? Okay. You spend 20 years in the closet. And I just, you know, because it was just such an honest joke for him. Those are the kinds I love. Oh, a Japanese American lady did one about, she feels guilty about Pearl Harbor and Nagasaki. I mean, you know, she's ended up, one of my favorite jokes I ever did was I had a midget, and she was also Japanese. Now technically dwarf. She was 3.5 feet tall, maybe, and I said, stand there and let the audience really take in the fact that that you're a small person. You're who you are. And then she's Japanese, and and the joke I wrote for you, we worked out for her, is to stand there and go, oh, now you're all wondering what to refer to me as. I prefer Japanese American.
No.
Right, so. Boom, again, everybody was, so there's so many, and jokes, so, some of them I can't say. They're Richard Pryor jokes, and the language he uses is not my cultural language to use, but I love the jokes. Okay, I'll do it. There's one where he said it was in Africa, and he said, I looked around and saw a whole continent full of black people, and there were no N-word people here.
Oh.
And that reframed my brain. I just went, and that's what his point was. Is that, wow, wait, only in America is, that phenomenon, the culture he was from anyway, that he was talking about, that he actually go to a continent of black people and go, wow, there's nobody referring to me this way. He went to certain parts of other countries, South Africa, maybe South Africa. Any other questions?
Yeah, so dealing with hecklers, because where I live, this is one of the big anxieties I've got, because pretty much everyone in my town is dickhead, and they'll say something funny, but if you return it to them, they'll most likely take offense and want to try and fight you.
Physically fight you?
Yes.
Okay, so I say, first of all, get into the mixed martial arts field. So again, it's a relationship with the audience. Talk to them about it.
Yeah.
Sit around and go, you guys are a bunch of dickheads. And I don't want to fight you, but how can I have some fun here and stuff? You got to kind of give me some permission to call you an asshole or something without coming and want to take my head off. Talk to them about it. See if you can get their permission to fuck with them. Really, that's why it's a relationship. I've had just insane things happen to me on stage. Also, I used to be a street performer in San Francisco, Renaissance fairs and stuff. I had a show where a bulldog fucked my leg. I'm saying, coming to a cat, right? And the owner tried to pick him up, and I kept slapping him, going, "He's mine, he's mine." And we're arguing over this pit. I mean, this English bulldog, his tongue hanging out. Oh man, the audience was screaming. That was a fun show, but that turned it into the show instead of again, do the show that's in front of you, not the one in your head, and start being honest. I'd like to say these things, but if I do, I think you guys are going to want to kick my ass. You know, and talk with them, negotiate with them. Okay, can I say this kind of a joke towards you and not want to kick my ass and play with them and make them part of the whole situation? I have one guy who he wanted to do a whole bunch of racist material. And I said, well, then if you're going to do that, you have to do it for all groups or the audience is going to hate you.
Yeah. My one
So he come out and he wrote an opening thing was, and I'm not going to say all the words, but he came out and said, if you're this, if you're this, if you're this, if you're that, every derogatory term for every nationality and sexual preference, every horrible thing you could say about anybody, he said them. And then he said, look, if you're offended by anything that I just said, stick around, it gets worse. And the audience laughed, and it was like, we did that and we talked about it because now the audience knows what they're going to get into. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to hit everybody. See, that was the difference. If you go after one group, you're a racist or you're a sexist or whatever, a nationalist or whatever all those ists are, okay? But if you go after everybody, it's like Don Rickles. You know, he says horrible stuff about people and racial stuff that other people can't get away with, but they know he's kidding and, you know, they understand. And this guy actually got away with it. He was also the son of a mobster, so he didn't really care. You know, he came out to get away from the mob in New Jersey to L.A. And he went down and played the basketball with the real hardcore basketball on Venice Beach. It's a real hardcore basketball down there. And one guy started to fight with him. He said, I beat him with a kid's bicycle. That's like the people I've run into in my time. It's like, okay, well, let's not upset this guy. He was a son of a mobster, and he started talking about, you know, getting out of the mob and stuff. It's really interesting, and did some really good material about it. And all. Any other questions?
Yeah, somebody asked, how do you remember your material?
Woo, that's classes 3 and 4, maybe even 5. Okay. There's 2 ways to remember the words of your jokes. And now I'm giving you actually part of the class that I really ask people to pay for. So I'm going to only give you a cursory, a surface a look at it. If you repeat the words over and over and over and over and over and over and over out loud, it gets coded in the brain here. Now we come into neuroscience and NLP and psychology, blah, 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 blah. It gets coded in what's called internal dialogue. It gets coded in the brain. It gets coded in the mind. To me, the mind is the representations. You're not actually seeing me right now. Your brain is developing a visual representation so that you call sight and sound and everything else. So all has to pass through the brain, and the brain now gives it to your, now I say those representations more like the mind in my world. So if you go into internal dialogue, if it's in internal dialogue, your eyes have to move down, NLP, eye movements, eye down, talk to yourself, say those words to the audience, talk to yourself, say those words to the audience, say those words to yourself, say those words to the audience, say those words to yourself, say those words to the audience. That, now, no attention for the audience. So you're never going to have a relationship. Not my rules. I just see it. That was one of those reoccurring problems that people do. That I went, oh, how do I stop them from, looking down all the time and ignoring the audience? And it doesn't matter. I mean, I know that they're completely ignoring the audience because in a classroom, I have everybody, the person comes out and I go, okay, do your show, run through your show. And then they go like this, down to the left. I know they've memorized their words right then and there. Actually, I knew before because they walk out real stiff and all worried and they're all glazed over. They're not present. They go and so every time they look down, I tell all the class to wave at that person. So they go internal, come back out and go, start to say the joke that they just said to themselves. And they look up and they go, oh, everybody's waving and stop it. Okay, I'm not going to look down anymore. Everybody's waving at me again. It's really funny and fun to do, but it really upsets the person because they've worked hard on the show, but they put it in internal dialogue. It's not interesting or funny to watch somebody remember correctly. I just didn't come there. They're not sitting around going, he said a when instead of a because. Oh my God, they don't know. They don't give a shit. They want to have fun. That's why I'm training you to be present and kid with people and turning a mistake into a joke and play with the audience and make up jokes and do your jokes. I'm going to say, I don't want you to just do improv. It's not what I'm after. I'm after going on stage with a show, but then reinterpreting it, reinventing it for the people in front of you, tailoring it to the audience that's in front of you, if you will. But you can only do that if you've got the memory in pictures, sounds, and feelings. The only way to get information into our brain is through our senses. We then code it in synaptic connections, okay, and put together by that as picture, sounds, and feelings in our brain. And then when we recall it, we recall picture, sounds, and feelings. That's the way we've been telling stories and being funny our whole lives, your whole life. Something happened to you and you recall that story and you tell the story and you add your jokes and stuff. And have you ever thought, wow, if I could do that on stage, I'd be a really great comedian. And you're right. It's just that I'm going to pack a lot more jokes per minute in there because I'm going to show you what joke structure is, teach you a lot of different ways to have jokes, and pack that full of, I have my advanced students have to work at 5+ laughs per minute. Insistent. They work at higher than a professional level. Now, when you watch them, you can see, per trained eye, you can see they don't have the experience, but their show is crafted. Now they go out and start performing that show. Now they're practicing good technique. They have material. Then they've got to learn how to work with audiences and craft and be present and write more material, et cetera. Now they're getting good at what helps them get better rather than practicing bad technique. Bad technique, internal dialogue. Because you must disappear completely like the person did. They go in there and they come back out. They didn't see us go put our hands back down. And then when they went inside, talked to themselves, 15 people picked up their hands and started waving. And when they finally came external again, they were like, oh my goodness, they're shocked by it. Why? Why would they be shocked? Because they blocked out the entire world so that they could talk to themselves their next joke. If your joke is coded that way and remembered that way, you're going to run into an enormous amount of performing problems. It just creates, and this is where a good class, and I'm the only one that teaches this because I'm the only one that had the background of working with John Grinder and Tony Robbins and all these other people that taught me all this great stuff about how the mind works and how the mind remembers. Again, I didn't make that part of it up. I just recognized how students that were stilted and holding themselves back and going blank on stage and couldn't really be themselves or express their real opinions because they were too busy talking to the joke to themselves and saying it, and talking the jokes to themselves and saying it. So all they could do is what I call a presentation of jokes. To me, great stand-up comedy is a dialogue. The audience is, you're in a feedback loop with the audience. They should be influencing you through the whole show in micro ways, sometimes in big ways, but mostly in micro ways, all these little things where you adjust for the audience there. And then again, at a minimum, how long you wait for a laugh and when do you come in? Waiting, you know, one of the hardest things for me to teach people, beginners, they get so nervous is shut up, let the audience laugh. You worked really hard to get to the point where you make the audience laugh and then they ignore it. Stand there, you know, become Tom Hanks in Castaway when he finally learned how to make fire and he ran around the fire going, "Look at what I have done!" Every time you get a laugh, you look at what I have done. You should be proud of yourself because that's not an easy thing to do. It's terrifying. Stand-up is terrifying. That's a lot less terrifying. A friend of mine wrote a book called No More Butterflies, a PhD. I know a lot of PhDs because of my World Humor Conference stuff. I wrote a book called No More Butterflies. He found, through research, found the two biggest things that cause people to have so much fear. One is fear of the unknown. So we try to take care of that in class by getting you up over and over and over, and we can't completely take care of it in front of a live audience. But again, you do an in-class or friends and family, it's not as brutal as a real club. It's not, it's an easier, to help teaching people to swim and taking them in slowly instead of dropping them in the middle of the ocean. And the other thing he found was that people felt scared when they didn't feel prepared. If they felt ill-prepared, they had enormous amounts of angst. Well, now we're going to help with, I know, and so does my staff. We're here, you guys don't see this. This is kind of behind the scenes where we're going, okay, this person needs, we'll talk about this person needs more help with feeling prepared to make sure they feel prepared. Automatically we have you do solo performers over and over again, performing in class, doing this, doing that, to help you face the unknown, to make it more known, at least parts of it. And we're doing that on purpose. That's not an accident. That's designed, and I designed that into the curriculum that I taught, and now I've designed it into the curriculum that the other teachers help me teach, or they teach, or they work with and stuff, because I can't teach everything. We're in 4 time zones, 2 different continents. I can't teach everything all the time, so that's why I have a staff that helps. So that's your answer, which is, I'm going to call it picture, sounds, and feelings. You turn your scene, turn your jokes into a scene, which we worked on earlier. Took one-liners and turned it into a scene. If it's a scene, you can tell us a story.
Peter has a question about working online versus working in real life. What are your thoughts about that, working online?
Oh, just that wow. We've spent a lot of time working and talking about that as a group. The hardest thing to get people to do, I think, with this, well, first of all, the difference is, well, first of all, look at me. I got nice, even lights in front of me. Okay, do you follow? Etc. That's right. Notice the framing. My head's near the top, got a little bit of space. Do you follow? Okay, people actually, I've seen people perform like this. Okay, I've seen people perform through their show literally like this. Okay, framing. People don't frame properly. Put yourself, it doesn't even have to be, you can do this. I look perfectly good because I got the, or this or whatever, I mean, but essentially, and it's not supposed to be in the center. It's supposed to be near the top. The framing, lighting, have good sound. That's why I'm wearing this. This isn't because I need to hear. My computer will give me enough sound, but this speaker, and I've got people even use PDF microphones like a Yeti and all those kinds. Those are really good. So you want really good sound. maybe even more important than picture. Okay, stay attentive and look attentive. You know, Sam was smoking pot earlier. Come on. I had one guy who was very funny. He didn't want us to see him smoking some pot, so he disappeared. But the pot, every time he blow it out, would go across the screen like this. Thought it was. You go like that. It's funny. Good sound, a little bit, and it's not hard. Put the lighting in front of you, not behind you. Don't have things moving like fans moving behind your head. One guy had a big fan behind his head. Looked like he was a helicopter for, you know, it's like stuff like that. Now, here's the biggest thing. That's just technical stuff. There's a lot of videos online that will teach you how to frame properly and do different things. The biggest thing we've learned on this is you have to pause longer. You're saying it. It has to go through all that equipment to get to, you say your joke, set up and punch, whatever it is you're doing, the place where it's funny, right? All that equipment it has to go through to get into this person's brain. This person has to go through the processing of getting the incongruity and resolving the incongruity, because that's why a joke is a process. Your brain has to go through solving the incongruity between those two opposite ideas. And then once they've solved that, then if they find humor in it, again, that's where it's individual, they find humor in it, they will then laugh. Now that laugh has to go all the way through all that equipment to you. Now here in LA, not such much of a delay between here and the UK. I've seen many jokes here today that I thought, well, I did a good, said a pretty good joke, and I'd look around, I'd look, and finally I'd see people go and laughing. On my side, there was like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then you laughed, and I'm trying to find something to do to fill in that time. Or to try to stay in the same state. That's what most comedians do, stay in the same state. If you're, you know, mad or if you're confused, just stay confused until you hear the laugh and then you move on. So that's the hardest thing, because also in this, like some people are in from Singapore, the UK, some people, all around. Now that laugh comes in at different times because of the routing. Now it's microseconds to seconds shorter. You see it on CNN or news. They ask a question, they have to wait 2, 3, 4, and then the person hears it and answers that question. And it's the same thing with Zoom. Matters how far away your audience. We have to wait. We as teachers have to wait longer for the UK time zone than we do for the LA time zone.
What does that
say? Then we get in the LA, we also get a lot of people who sign up from the Philippines. So we have to learn, for the Americans, we have to wait this long, and the Philippine folks over here, we have to wait a little longer to make sure they got what we said. And we have to, and so it changes. You really have to become really much more super aware of the audience. Somebody started to speak. What was it?
I was just going to say, does anyone mind if I get some feedback on a joke?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just wait for this car to go past. All right. So I used to work in a docks. I used to work in a bakery down by the docks. We made all kinds of pies and pastries and danishes, pretty much anything bread, we made it. So I'd just finished the pies and I was setting them down to cool. And I was sweeping up, starting to get ready to make the breads. And then all of a sudden, this big orange cloud of vermin rolled in, like scuttled across the floor, scooped up the pies and went out the door. I started to chase them down the street, but by the time I got outside, they'd already loaded into a ship and fucked off into the sunset. Fucking pirates, man.
Got a good joke? See if we can make it shorter. You know, yeah. I don't need to know you swept the floor, that you were going to bake the bread. I see. This is what I call rationalizations, and we teach this in the class as well. How to pull out all your rationalizations. What's the minimum you need to get to the pirates? You follow? Okay, I'm just saying with comedy, you mean it's short because remember I talked about processing time? The more that's in the first part or the setup, when you finally get to the punch, the audience has now got to go back and look at where they made their mistake. You want minimum amount of information in that setup so that they, once they go, oh, wait, that doesn't make that, there's something that's, they go back up here and then they shatter that assumption or whatever it is. They resolve that incongruity. The less information they have to go through, the quicker they'll laugh.
Okay.
And that's my belief. And again, that's my stuff about mental processing. A joke is a mental process. It only happens in the human mind. Humor only happens in the human mind. It doesn't happen anywhere else. Only in the human mind. Only humans understand humor because we're the only ones that have double. We're the only animals that we know of that can do multiple perspectives. We can look at a woman running from, whether she's running for a train or she's running from me. We can look at that two different ways. Other animals can't do that. They wonder whether dolphins can. They're kind of doing research on it. But that's really what I think separates ourselves from when we develop self-consciousness, which was also, I think, the whole point of the story of the Garden of Eden, was that they ate from the fruit of knowledge, and then they realized they were naked before God. They became self-conscious. They became aware of themselves. And that now is multiple perspectives.
Actually, that's quite good.
Now, once we can have two interpretations of one thing, aware of ourselves from the inside and kind of looking at ourselves from the outside. Now I have got to have two parts. And until people can see one thing with two parts, there's no humor. There was no humor until human beings developed that ability, in my personal opinion, in our evolution. Why? Got no idea. That was all part of what they call in psychology the Great Leap. We went from having, not having multiple perspective to having multiple perspective. It was like all of a sudden that we separated. That's where we kind of separated from the animal kingdom and kind of then started screwing up the whole world.
I'd just like to say something. I'll have to go. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes.
And when you say you go, I hope you're not in the restroom. So.
No, not in the restaurant.
I'm not.
But I think, well, I did 101 and 201. So like I've been following these classes.
Right. I remember you, Scott. Yes, right.
For I don't know, 3 months more. I don't know, like 16 weeks, whatever. And what is really cool about it, like you didn't really give the perspective of a student. And for me, the great thing about this, I saw the Slack thing saying, okay, we have a free seminar, and I've been doing this for 16 weeks. I've read your book 3 or 4 times. I've heard your audio book 3 or 4 times, and I'm still here because this never gets old. The more you listen to it, the better it is. And the greatest thing for me is hanging out with other comedy students and seeing how teachers have fun with each other and have banter and just roast each other, and Curtis is not here today, and they go, oh, and it's amazing because we don't get to see that when you are alone trying to start up in stand-up comedy. You are in your room trying to write your little text, and you are so nervous, and you go to the comedy club and you just frightened, and then you go back alone to your room, and there's this big taboo saying that stand-up comedy cannot be taught or be learned. You have to be born with it, and it's crap. And just hanging out with people. And sometimes I went to office hours with Jim, and there's 3 or 4 of us looking into a single joke, and everybody's having a great time because we're just riffing and, oh, how about we say this, or we interpret it in this way or in that way. And it's like 4 people discussing and debating about something that doesn't exist. And it's wonderful because it really gets your mind going, and there's no risk at all. You're just there to have fun. So I think that should be the main reason for people to sign up. It's just, it is fun to hang out together, and it's safe.
And that's on purpose. And thank you, Scott. I really appreciate the Venmo is on the way. And that's designed on purpose. That's just part of the solution feedback. And that's the other thing that happens when you learn all these techniques. you now have a language in common. You can go, oh,
Sure.
what's your target assumption for that setup? What is that? Oh, I think it's this. Oh, if you and you all collaborate and go, let's rephrase it this way and this way and this way and till you finally hit the one and go, that's the one, right, Scott? Stuff like that.
Yeah,
because
exactly,
you're working from techniques. You're working on it's not the teacher's opinion. There's always a reason why that joke looks better, and everybody keeps working on it. And the other thing is, you're right, is I really try to make this like comedian kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the best thing about it. You know, it's one of the things I realized years ago is the best thing about being a comedian. All your friends are comedians.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, your friends, everybody you know are comedians. Lunches are hysterical.
Yeah, I think
You go out
that's the
to
funny
lunch.
thing
I don't know
that's,
how many restaurants we've been kicked out of because we're laughing too hard. And you're disturbing the other customers. You know, well, can we sit at their table? They just throw us out.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know, we actually started counting. I think after 5, we stopped counting how many restaurants. Yeah, we don't mean to be rude, but we're rude, you know, and we're loud and we're laughing and we're having a great time and we don't care. So let's go to another restaurant, and, you know. So, but you're right. It's about having fun, and if you can learn and have fun, I could say that, put that words on a card, on a slide. It doesn't make any sense. So thank you for that validation and pointing that out, because I'm really proud of that. Is I think people have a lot of fun while they're learning this stuff. Gayla,
she has a lot of fun.
No, I was reading. Kitty and I. No, it was Kitty and I are talking back and talking, and she's so funny. No, it's great. It's great. It's great. I was in the breakout room. I met a couple of people. Yeah, there's a lot going on in stand-up, and now's the time to do this. I think in 2021 is going to continue to be a virtual situation because they have to do this, you know, a vaccination. But once they get it out, then people have to trial and error it for a while. So I don't, you know, clubs may not open up. You know, the open mic venues may not open up. You know, there's not going to be really a good place to go do stand-up to get some kind of read on your jokes or anything like that, a relationship with the audience. This is going to be happening, and you know what? I think that after things do open up, this venue, this virtual comedy scene is still going to be happening because it's going to be international. Now you can be performing in your comedy club in your town and be, you know, scheduled to do a show where you're getting paid in, I don't know, somewhere else, in somewhere else far away. So it's good to have both. It's good to have both kinds of comedy performances all primed and ready to go. I mean, I don't know when else you'll be able to do something like this, because as soon as you can get away from the computer, you're going to do it. But you're stuck here with me, or with all of us, you know, for the next year. But anyway, you can have fun. You can learn you can do some things to improve your
and Kevin's playing music to, I think, usher us out.
Already? I just got back from the breakout room. Okay.
I know. Well, you've been over there, and so I'm going to let you guys go and everything. I hope to see you in the 101 class. If it's the right one for you, that would be really nice. Again, we're just such soft sell, because I find with stand-up, if you really want to do it, you'll get in and do it. And we just don't. When I talk people into it, it's just never works, because you have to have that in your soul to want to do this. So we just make it available, and we hope you join us. So, Kev, I'm going to check out. You can stay here for a second. I'm going to take out, and I'm going to go grab myself some lunch, because it's
Thanks,
like
Greg.
1:30.
Thanks, Greg.
For showing up.
Hey.
Bye.